this box to make a sandwich.
No, y'all gonna wait. Anita, shalom, shalom. Vinette, shalom. Greetings, greetings. What you doing, Jay? Okay. Sorry for the extreme tardiness today, beautiful people.
Hey, Mama.
Yes, okay, cool. Y'all go back up. Come on. I need y'all quiet. Go back to there. All right, pick it up. Pick it up. Upstairs to the lawn. There's way too many of y'all here today. I need everybody like upstairs. Top of the day, beautiful people. Hannah, shalom, shalom. Kendra, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started. I got a house full of people. So, trying to make sure. I know I'm extremely tired today. I had to get everybody extremely quiet. All right. Happy Saturday, beautiful people. It is September the 24th, 2022, day 221 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. So of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,239. Today we're picking back up on page 646. Book of S, daughter of Jehovah. And today, before we get started, let's see. You know what I thought about? A really fun word that I hadn't heard nor said in a long time to describe the Creator. Father, you are supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I remember doing that little song in elementary school. All right, y'all. Gloria, greetings, greetings. Elijah, grand rising. All right, beautiful people. So let's get just one more. Let me just remind them for the little people. Y'all hear screaming in the background. Okay. Let's see how long this lasts. All right, beautiful people. Page 646. Chapter 4. The alarm in Haraktu, heavenly place of Kabbalites, the false but reigning Buddha. Set apart. Blessings, blessings. All right, so after Haraktu, it has the reference number 1. And at the bottom, it says Kabbalites' heavenly kingdom is Haraktu, and Lu amongst is Hapsindi. The 1882 edition switched the name of the two kingdoms incorrectly over the next 5 chapters. Subsequent errors are not footnoted. Okay. Verse 1. Kabbalites said, My most high, holy council, lords of heaven and earth, give ear. This day, my scouts on the borders of Vridat, my suburban kingdom in Tau, saw a light descending like a world on fire. Consternation came upon my dutiful subjects, fearing some foreign god menaced their liberties. To appease them, Hathav, my lord in command, dispatched thither messengers to know my will. But when they arrived, others came also. But from the heavenly plateau, Itusak, my northern kingdom, with the same ominous tale. Let me read that again. But when they arrived, others came also, but from the heavenly plateau, Itusak, my northern kingdom, with the same ominous tale. Then others from other kingdoms in my heavenly regions. Some have seen the light but faintly, some have seen it brilliant as a pillar of fire. Whilst here within our well secured heavenly seat, it hath been only as a falling meteor. Speak, my lords, know ye more of this? What is that? Mathevi, Lordess, said, all highest of gods, be considerate of womanly fears, and detract accordingly from my magnified expressions. To me, this descended star is some far off ally with God, Jehovah's worshipper in paradise, for by the course of the falling light it landeth thither. Is not this some stratagem to reestablish Jehovah, whom we have chased from earth and heaven? Chased. How dare you, sis? Look. Phibo, Lord said, it is not a year since some other foreign god descended to paradise. Behold, this one cometh from the same angle beyond Chinvat. Peradventure, the former was but a scout sent from some realm, which hath now answered this mighty Aragagna. Sinlu, Lord said. It was said of old, when the heavens clear, look out for Jehovah's worshippers, the infidels against the reigning gods. Now, behold, in the very season when Aji flieth away, and our souls are on the eve of rejoicing, here cometh an ominous meddler with our slaves to do us mischief. Thus spaketh many lords, alarmed, for a secret sin as slavery, justified by the master's conscience, being held down, is easily tormented with suspected griefs, not yet come to pass. And more than this, in Kapalakti's holy council of 1,000,000 members, where many who had been long promised preferment and higher dominion than to legislate for another's kingdom, and they had received nothing worthy of the name for more than 1,000 years. And these had a small spark of hope left, that some external disaster to Kabbalati's extensive kingdoms would open the way for rich adventure in their own behalf, with millions of slaves to do them reverence. So even whilst their tongues upheld their monstrous idol, Buddha the false, their own souls were equally perfidious. When many of the Holy Council had spoken, then again Kabbalactes went on. My marshal in chief shall select a host 1,000,000 strong, and provide them an arrow boat, to which command I appoint Teventas, general, to go to paradise in my name, greeting, to learn the will and pleasure of this adventurous God that cometh to vanquish the kingdom of Jehovah's Son, to offer him the freedom of my kingdom for a monthly visit. Perchance he hath never seen a city built of gems and precious stones, and the palace and throne of the all highest God, the which to look on may abash him from undertaking some foolish scheme. Now, accordingly, from the false Buddha's magnificent heavenly kingdom, there went out an arrow boat, the most precious gem ever built in these heavens, and in it 1,000,000 hosts, arrayed as very gods and goddesses in splendor, whilst Tiventas, with his shining crown and blazing jewels, bespake his generalship as from a rich kingdom. 200,000 slaves worked the boat, and many of these had been in earth life Buddhist priests, and were now serving their apprenticeship of 200 years in order to have the privilege in future time of crawling on their bellies to see the throne of Buddha, the false, and see their all highest ideal God. Thus then went the arrow boat in all its glory to paradise, seat of Jehovah's Son. Chapter 5. The false in Etashong, heavenly kingdom of Inochesa, the false but reigning God, Brahma. Great spirit, love, and light. Whilst Inochesa and his holy council were assembled in the palace of Etashong, there came messengers from no less than 36 of Inochesa's sub-kingdoms, alarmed with magnified accounts of the fire ship descending to paradise. And each and all of these messengers told his tale before the throne, expressing the fear of the sub-kingdoms lords, and praying to know Inochesa's will and pleasure. Now here, even as at Horaktu, the lords of the Holy Council spake expressive of their hopes and fears. And here also were many lords who had been long promised exaltation, but never received it. And they pretended heartfelt loyalty to Inochesa, the false Brahma, even whilst with secretive hope they prayed some adventurous god might come and break up Inochesa's kingdom, feeling that in the spoil they would profit in heavenly kingdoms of their own. Then spake Inochesa, saying, in the name of the Holy Ghost, I thank you all. For your loyalty, make myself for your loyalty, make myself your humble God to do your wills and pleasure. First, then, that our unapproachable kingdom shall ever remain the all highest heaven, where ye shall rest secure forever. I will prove most alert to learn the designs of this visiting God. Behold, I will send thither an arrow boat with 1,000,000 lords arrayed in splendor, and every one crowned, and over them Kosimathara, Lord and Chief. In my name and in the name of the Holy Ghost, my host shall greet this God and invite him hither on a monthly visit. Perchance he hath no knowledge as to what the all highest God is. So it came to pass, an arrow boat was made, the most magnificent ever seen in Etashon, and in it the millions, and in it the 1,000,000 lords with jeweled crowns embarked, commanded by Kosi Mathara, Lord and Chief, and they sped off for paradise also. Chapter 6. The alarm and Kalahoret, the heavenly kingdom of the false god Gabriel, alias Thoth, the Mohammedan heaven. When the lords of the heavenly council of Kalaharet, the heaven of the false Muhammad, had expressed their hopes and fears as to the fire ship descending to paradise, Thoth, alias Gabriel, said, who here feareth, let him speak. Who here feareth not, let him speak also. I will know my lords and holy council. Behold, I am a warrior god. I profess not peace like the triunes and practice war. I profess war and I practice it. I made Luamong when he, boy, they getting bolder and bolder. I made Luamong. When he chose to have himself established as Christ, I established him. When he denied me justice, I exposed him in heaven and on the earth as the false Christ. When he refused me the heavenly kingdom which he promised, I took it and established myself. I made ye lords of my holy council. I drove away from the earth 1,000 false lords and broke up the oracle houses of mortals. What then have I to fear from a foreign God, commanding the heavens? I'm sorry, let me read it over. What then have I to fear from a foreign God, commanding to the heavens of the earth? Behold, these heavens belong to such as are born of the earth. Let the foreign gods return to the worlds where they were native born. If this God have come to battle me in behalf of Jehovah's God, let him come. Till he or I be cast into hell, let the battle rage. Did I not dare the daring, I'm sorry, did I not the daring goddess Ashtaroth send to hell, and the mighty Baal after her, and all the Argosian gods and the gods of Roma silenced and cast into torments? Now behold, I will send an arrow boat 1,000,000 strong to paradise and banter this adventurous god to give me battle. Better try our respective powers as to who shall go down than to live in uncertain surmises as to such a God's business in another God's heavens. Then let my marshal provide an arrow boat armed with shafts of fire and water, and choose 1,000,000 warriors for this adventure. Over them, my warrior lord Justin shall hold command, and he shall go to paradise, greeting in the name of God Gabriel, to know of the coming God by what right he hath ventured near my holy kingdoms. So it came to pass, Thoth dispatched a boat to paradise as he commanded. Chapter 7, first time greetings. Chapter 7, the alarm in Hapsindi, heavenly kingdom of Luamung, the false Christ. Even as the heavenly kingdoms of the other three false gods, so was the alarm in Hapsindi, capital of the heavenly kingdom of Luamung, who had falsely assumed to be Christ. After Luamung's hundreds of messengers from his various sub-kingdoms had made their reports as to the appearance of the great light that had descended to paradise, and of the consternation of the sub-lords, then spake the holy council before the throne of Luamung. Some magnified the omen as a menace, some suggested doubling the number of the standing armies of Luamung's heavenly kingdoms, and yet others suggested numerous other things. After thousands of them had spoken, then spake Luamung, saying, wise and holy lords and gods of the all of the all highest heavenly kingdom, great have been your wisdom and suggestions. Now, therefore, by the light of the Holy Ghost, hear ye my decrees. I will send unto this stranger God who hath come to paradise a fireboat 1,000,000 strong, and everyone shall go crowned and arrayed with jewels and diadems and weapons of warfare, and they shall have shields and figureheads of tow. And in parentheses after tow, it's bull, Bull. And they shall have shields and figureheads of tow, bull, and Aries, lamb, as symbols of my attributes. Behold, I send unto him as a lamb of peace, but send also the spear and sword. In command of the fireboat and the host thereof, I appoint a Judas, whom I will crown with the mitre and the triangle and the cut ring. And this shall be my message to the stranger God, to wit, in the name of the Holy Ghost and of the Son, greeting and love. Behold, the kingdom of Hapsindi, the all highest holy heaven, is open and free unto thee. The all highest God and ruler of the greatest heavenly kingdom would know thy will and pleasure. And if it be thy purpose to engage in a good and holy work, behold, I have employment for thee, for thy profit and honor and glory. And for whatsoever thou canst accomplish for the resurrection of my people, shall receive a just reward from my hand. Accordingly, a fireboat of excellent workmanship was provided, and equipped in gorgeous and splendor. Let me read it again. It's gorgeousness, but let me read it, the whole sentence again. Verse 9, page 648. Hey, girl, hey. Accordingly, a fireboat of excellent workmanship was provided and equipped in gorgeousness and splendor. And into it the 1,000,000 hosts, crowned as lords and commanded by a Judas, embarked and set sail for paradise, the heavenly place of God, Jehovah's Son. And after a Judas is reference number 2, and down at the bottom it says a Judas and Justin. Verse 10, to work the fireboat, there were 400,000 slaves, composed of the spirits of such as had been on earth, popes, archbishops, bishops, cardinals, priests, and others who were serving their bondage of 200 years, as they verily believed in purgatory for the privilege of ultimately crawling on their bellies through the arena of the palace, and to approach near enough to look upon Luamung, their supposed all highest God and Savior. Notice how it labeled out the rankings of the Vatican cardinals, priests, and all that stuff, right? Going to Luamung's kingdom, which is the same place that the Christians gonna go, right? Remember when I be joking, telling the Christians that the Pope is their pappy too? This right here is proving that. Okay, let me read it again. Verse 10, page 648. To work the fireboat, there were 400,000 slaves, composed of the spirits of such as had been on earth, popes, archbishops, bishops, cardinals, and priests, and others who were serving their bondage of 200 years, as they verily believed in purgatory for the privilege of ultimately crawling on their bellies through the arena of the palace, and to approach near enough to look upon Luamung, their supposed all-highest God and Savior. Such then was the magnificence and the object of the fireboat sent to paradise. Chapter 8 of God in Paradise. S said, after the light of Jehovah came to God, saying, go, provide mortals to cross the ocean, to build up the western continent, God ceased striving to redeem the four heavenly kingdoms of the four false gods, but directed his energies to regain a broader earth anchorage for the sake of Jehovah's kingdom. So God sent down from paradise one Melchizedek, crowned as Lord, with 10,000 angels in his command to inspire migration to Gautama and to make the country known to the eastern peoples. And Melchizedek, with his host, came and ascertained the grade and choice of mortals for such purpose. And Melchizedek and his host did raise up Colombo, and in parentheses is Columbus, a mortal from Genoa, together with crews sufficient in number, whom they inspired to go with ships to the westward across the ocean in search of the lay and plan of the world, which we would know as yeah, he said it. Columbus, right? Christopher Columbus. That would be him. Okay. And it came to pass that Colombo, thus inspired of God through his holy angels, did discover the western continent, not knowing he was under inspiration. It was shortly after this that the angel host from Ethera came down to the throne of God in paradise to labor with him in providing for the approach of the Cosmon era. Now, whilst God and his angels in the heavenly kingdom of paradise were rejoicing because of the success of Colombo, which had been reported by Melchizedek to God, behold, in that same time it was that the Etherian ship of Lita Baka Thrava, I said this name yesterday, Lita Baka Thrava arrived. Read it over. Now, whilst God and his angels in the heavenly kingdom of paradise were rejoicing because of the success of Colombo, which had been reported by Melchizedek to God, behold, in that same time it was that the Etherian ship of Lita Baka-thrava arrived. And God received the Etherians with great rejoicing. And after due ceremonies, God declared a recreation of 3 days, that the angels of paradise might rejoice before Jehovah, because the agi of so many hundreds of years was breaking away, and because of Colombo's success, and because of the coming of the Etherians. Great indeed were the rejoicings, Great indeed were the rejoicings, the praise, the music, and glee of the 1,000,000,000 angels of paradise. At the end of 3 days, the trumpet called the holy council of God to resume labor before the throne. Then the marshals from various places in God's kingdom called their students and laborers and withdrew to their several departments. The holy council resumed their places before God, and God ascended the throne, and order was. Then God called the Etherians, Chonling, Thechaya, Chasing, Bornothetes, Atavia, and Thotagawa to come and honor the throne. Whereupon these visiting gods did as commanded. Then spake God, saying, what tribute, O Jehovah, can I pay to thy son, Lita Bakrathavra? For the light and glory of his presence provide thou unto me and my holy council. Thereupon thereupon all the holy council, 1,000,000, rose to their feet, and then all the gods rose up also. God said, come thou, honor my throne. Then Lita Bakathabra walked up and sat on the throne of God. When he was seated, God commanded all the rest to be seated, and thereupon Lita Bakathabra rose up and said, thou hast given me great honor, O God of the earth and her heavens. May the light of the person of Jehovah dawn upon all the kingdoms of heaven and earth. Yet, O God, be not puffed up with the hope of sudden success. I have seen many corporal worlds arrive at the Cosmon era, but it is like a new birth, brought forth in pain and with much labor. Thou hast yet several generations of mortals to be born ere Cosmin come. The four dark corners of the lodge will bound upon thee to destroy the work of thy hand and of Jehovah's. The four false gods will fight thee to the death. Only till they go down in hell can Jehovah's kingdom come. On all the planetary worlds, it is ever the same. Certain four false gods rise up to possess the corporal worlds and her heavens. They will profess truth, but practice falsehood, profess peace, but practice war. They will incite mortals and angels to all manner of evil for the sake of thwarting Jehovah's person and proceedings. Yea, they will even yet assume that they themselves are Jehovah, the veritable creator, and they will inspire mortals to consider them as such. And when thy people profess Jehovah and not them, behold, they will inspire others to fall upon thy people, to destroy them, or to torture them with great sufferings. Nevertheless, it shall come to pass with thee, Jehovah shall triumph over all the earth and in the heavens of the earth. Men and angels shall be free, and none shall make them afraid. Verse 22, page 649. Nene, shalom. Donald, shalom, shalom. DC, shalom. Selah, shalom. Auntie, hey girl, hey mom, shalom, shalom. All right. Verse 22, page 649. Litta Baka ceased and sat down, and suddenly a great shining light gathered above his head, and a voice spake out of the light, saying, all the earth is mine, and the waters and the air above the earth. These are members of my body and person. Man I created not to possess them, but to dwell thereon and therein. Unto all men alike gave I these inheritances, nor to any man apart, nor to any nation or people apart. Let me read that again. Hold on, I was messing myself up. Verse 23. All the earth is mine, and the waters, and the air above the earth. These are members of my body and person. Man I created not to possess them, but to dwell thereon and therein. Unto all men alike gave I of these inheritances, nor to any man apart, nor to any nation or people apart, but with liberty and privilege unto these gave I man the right to draw sustenance and support. All men are my children, and to conscious being created I them alike, privilege unto all the earth, and the waters of the earth, and the air, and the firmament above the earth. But y'all see how they making us pay for everything that our Father gave to all us for free. Some of us even got to pay for air now, right? Some people literally have to pay for air, i.e. oxygen. Whew. I'm gonna read that again. All men are my children, and to conscious being created I them alike, privilege unto all the earth, and the waters of the earth, and the air in the firmament above the earth. Brothers and sisters created I them. Brothers and sisters created I them of various tribes and races and colors and sizes. But nevertheless, in mine own way, I created them, every one for a glory in the way I made him. You know what? When I shucks, before I had even heard about Oahspe, when I had started venturing into the Apocrypha, right? And I want to say it was Jubilees, but the way it read when I got the Sefer Bible, it was, I want to say it was within like the first 4 chapters. Don't quote me. I'm gonna have to get it. Hold on. That was the first time, the way it was worded in the Sefer Bible, that was the first time that I had even considered that there might have been in the beginning created more than just one man and one woman, right? Because it alluded to the fact where it says it was going through its version of creation story, filling in what we didn't get in Genesis, right? And then when it got to man, it said some it's I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna have to post it for you. And I studied that for like I stared and pondered on it for like 3 days. I'm like, this sounds like it was more than just Adam and Eve. I was like, well, that would make a whole lot of things make sense if the creator created more than just two people, one man and one woman. Because what it said in there was it of its kind, like, or of our kind, there were 20, it was 26, like I think it said like 26 groups, don't quote me, but it was, I think it said like, of these I created 26. And I'm like, yeah, he's definitely talking about humans. Did he mean like coming from them? I was like, nope, this is not what this says. This definitely says, and I was like, that's when I first mentioned to myself, so I was like, you know what, I was reading in Jubilees, and whatever chapter was up, like I said, I'm gonna pull it up, I'm gonna share that with y'all when I get done. And I'm gonna share it from the Sefer version so you can see it. It probably said it the same way if you read it. Maybe not in the KJV. I don't know. I'll compare the two. I'll post them both what they say, so you can see. But when I had read it in the Sefer version, that's the first time it dawned on me. Hey, at least consider the fact that there could have been more than just one man and one woman created. Because at that point, when I got that, I was also looking at like the different races, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you can adapt to the weather where you're at, cold regions, hot regions, lighter, darker. But what about the different, we have like the same skeletal structures, but like the when I was doing a study on like the different races and the skeletal structures. I mean, it's the same structure, but there are certain things about certain races that is like consistent with those particular races of people. I'm like, because if this is different and it's okay, this is different from this race of people, and we still got this race of people and this race of people and this race of people today, and these consistencies within their race for this entire race, but there are also inconsistencies with this other race. Like they can tell a skeleton, a head skeleton from an African American person from an Asian person because of certain things in that. What?
You start talking about skeleton shapes and stuff like that, races of people, right? Okay. The lie that was told to us was that African Americans are big boned. That's a lie. You fat. It's not big bone.
Don't get out this kitchen, Mr. Murphy.
Everybody want to say big bone. Your bone structures, they're like everybody else. It's
right.
What's around the bone.
Right. Right.
You just big body, not big boned. But anyway, go ahead.
I knew he was coming in here with some shenanigans this morning. Listen, but those things, I had already started looking into that. I was like, well, this is interesting. I was like, that would kind of make sense, because the way that certain people was trying to teach us, it was like, okay, well, over the course of period of time, we've changed, and this is this, and now we're all like this. But that is not the same, right? We all still have these small inconsistencies with our skeletal structure, at least in the head, to whereby they can tell if a person died and they strip you from everything, right? Flesh from off your bones, and all there is this skeletal structure, and we don't know who you were. They got the teeth and the skeletal structure classify which race of people this is, right? They can do that with science. They're able to do that, and that like baffled me. And when I came across this and this particular couple verses in Jubilees, I started thinking about that. I was like, well, this would make that make sense, right? Which now I've been for like the last year. I'm like, that's definitely true. There was more than just one man and one woman created. There were groups of people, because that would also solve the burning question that a lot of Christians have. Well, okay, let me play the devil's advocate. If one man and one woman, and if incest is against Torah, how to explain that, right? And it's like, ooh, well, okay, so before the law came not to sleep, all this stupid crap they give you, right? Like it had been okay for a certain period of time for this right here, knowing that if there is incest committed, you're gonna have some crazy people being born. That, no, You know what I'm saying? They just mentally, just different things is going to be off, right? Because there are certain things that just should not be mixed. But that if we understand that, that will also solve all of those questions that people have when they start thinking for themselves. What no, because if you say he allowed that here, but then at a certain period of time he didn't allow this here, but he says I'm the same today, yesterday, today, and forever. How does answer this? Because you're giving me one answer, but it's contradicting with this over here, right? So that will solve a lot of those issues in regard to creation, right? And so I'm fully aware now that there was more than just one man and one woman created, right? Okay. I just had to bring it out. Let me go back to this page. And also Oahspe goes through a lot of that detail. And Susan B. Martinez, she did a book on all of that stuff. The origin of human, the time. Let me just show you. I think I showed. Yeah, I definitely showed y'all before. Yeah, it's a thick book too, right here. It's called The Mysterious Origins of Hybrid Man. And she goes into everything. Clearly, I ain't done with it yet, but a lot of stuff that I was already like picking up just by reading things over, just kind of, research a little bit more. I'm like, this story they pushing to us is garbage. I say it's impossible. That cannot happen. All right. Page 649, verse 26. Brothers, let me go back to verse 25. All men are my children. All men are my children. Into conscious being created I them alike, privilege unto all the earth, and the waters of the earth, and the air and the firmament above the earth. Brothers and sisters created I them of various tribes and races and colors and sizes. But nevertheless, in mine own way I created them, every one for glory in the way I made him. In the early days, behold, I kept man on certain continents and places that I might unfold him in the glory for which I designed him. But in Cosmon, I open the gates of the oceans and the seas and the rivers, and I say unto all my people, come forth, behold your brethren, go ye into this country and into that, and learn wisdom from that which I have proved in the family of my house. Be ye profitable unto one another in the experience and practice of my hand upon all peoples. In one, tallness, in another, shortness, in one, sound teeth and bones and well-formed limbs. In another, sagacity. In one, a dense population and well-tilled lands. In another, plain food and long life. For in Cosmon, man shall go abroad into all countries, one nation with another, and they shall profit by wisdom to bring forth a new race with all the glories selected from the whole. That is beautiful, right? We're gonna take all the good. We're gonna take the good from here. You can keep the rest of that. We're gonna take the good from here. Kind of like what we've been doing, going through everything, right? We're putting everybody book on the table, right? Everything. What we can test and find to be the truth, this is the portion we keeping. The rest of this you can push off the table right into that trash can that you will see lined all around this table, right? It's trash can. So when we get done with stuff, the dross we push away. You can take that away. They ain't good for nothing but the fire. All right, verse 30. Let me read that again. Verse 28, page 649. But in Cosmon, I open the gates of the oceans and the seas and the rivers, and I say unto all my people, come forth, behold your brethren, go ye into this country and into that, and learn wisdom from that which I have proved in the family of my house. Be ye profitable unto one another in the experience and practice of my hand unto all peoples. In one, tallness, in another, shortness, in another, sound teeth and bones and well-formed limbs, in another, sagacity, in one, a dense population and well-tilled lands. Hey, y'all! Hey! In one, a dense population and well-tilled lands. In another, plain food and long life. For in Cosmon, man shall go abroad into all countries, one nation with another, and they shall profit by wisdom to bring forth a new race with all the glories selected from the whole. Neither shall man be bound more by the doctrines of this God or that God, or by this Savior or that Savior, nor by any means of the ancient books, nor by inspirations of the olden times, but he shall know how to obtain inspirations from my gods and my heavens for his own good and for his own wisdom. Neither shall one nation judge another and cry out heathen, nor one people judge another and cry out pagan. Behold, I alone shall judge. My mark is upon all those that engage in war or who keep warriors or who keep forts and arsenals and use weapons of death, and upon all who kill and eat the flesh of anything I created alive, for all such are pagan and heathen in my sight. Well, there you have it, folks. Neither shall they go from nation to nation to find evil, but to find goodness and wisdom and virtue. My gods shall minister unto all nations and peoples to these ends, to bring them together in peace and harmony, to open the ports of those that have been seclusive nations and peoples, to persuade them to put away war and the glory of destruction, to make nations and peoples acceptable to one another. The voice of the light ceased, and all about the throne of God was like a sea of golden fire. The time for the departure of Litta Bakrathavra and his host had arrived. Accordingly, he went down and sat at the foot of the throne, and then God descended and took his hand, saying, Arise, Orion chief, Jehovah's son, and go thy way. Thank you, babe. The Father.
Hey, calm down, all right? Baby? All right.
The Father calleth thee and thy people. So Litta Bakrathavra passed down into the arena and saluted on the sign, dawn of Cosmon, and God answered in the sign, fortified in Jehovah's name. Litta Bakrathavra and his host then went into the Otivan, the monster ship with its photosphere large as a continent, and presently, whilst the Isinars and the trumpeters chanted praise to the Almighty, the vessel started from its foundation and rose slowly upward, applauded by the thousands of millions assembled in paradise. Oh yeah. Next chapter, chapter 9. Colleen, hey girl, hey. Girl, you go to Animal Kingdom yet? Or is this the weekend? I'll look up later. Page 650. S said, Now behold, just as the ship of Litta Bakrathavra had risen upward and was on its way starting forth, the fireboats of the four false gods arrived in paradise. And the hosts in the boats were discomfited and angry withal, because their boasted audacity was thwarted from having an interview with the Orion chief and his host. And they of the fireboats saw one another and were incensed and jealous and puzzled to know what to do. Neither would any of them confer with God, Jehovah's son, for they had been thus commanded by the respective false gods. Close that up. Don't blow them in here. Bubbles are for outside of my house. Now, therefore, after the fireboats had cruised about a while, displaying their splendor, 3 of them departed, leaving only the fireboat of Luamong's host remaining. The captain of this boat had said, It is not sufficient that I come hither and find the foreign god departed. I will ascertain what hath been said and done, and what these Jehovah worshippers are up to. So when he went aside and made, he went aside and made his boat fast, and he and his host, arrayed in splendor, went and talked with the inhabitants of paradise, inquiring amongst other things the cause of such great rejoicings amongst the people. And one of the people, being unguarded, said, Behold, it is well with us that we rejoice. God, Jehovah's Son, hath inspired a new mortal anchorage. He hath taken Colombo across the ocean and showed him a new country where only the great spirit Jehovah is worshipped. Listen, yesterday I was on my way to take my niece somewhere, right? So Bella rode with me. Now, y'all know the Disney movie Frozen, right? Let it go, let it go. The cold never bothered me anyway. That movie Frozen, right? There's two parts to it. If you're an avid lover of Frozen and you haven't seen Frozen 2, you got to see Frozen 2 to really understand everything that's happening in Frozen 1. Bella done played both of these movies out. You hear me? She done watched the first Frozen at least 2,972 times, right? And probably double that the second Frozen. Every time we get in the truck, y'all know that's a little bit of exaggeration. But this time she was watching it. I was sitting waiting for my niece to come back out of her appointment and everything, right? And so we put it on. And I'll watch this on and I'll be doing other things, multitasking. But I was sitting right there and it started saying something in the second Frozen. Elsa actually, it's like she has this vision, right? And she goes back in time to see the different things that happen. And would you believe they got this in Frozen? I kid you not. I kid y'all not. They have this in Frozen. And so then I started having flashbacks about the first. So I was like, holy crap. Now I got to go watch both of them over again from the very beginning, undistracted. Y'all gotta go watch Frozen. It's not just this sing-along thing girls movie, because y'all know I'm all about, boys wrestling, bang bang, shoot 'em up, right? That's what it's been until Bella came into the mix. Now it's like, calm all that down. She comes to bring peace and harmony, right? Look, so for real, we never any of these the sing-along stuff wasn't even into that until we have a girl baby born into the Murphy household, right? Y'all, it's amazing how much truth they put into this stuff. And like you not even paying attention for real. You just waiting for the songs to come up and everybody's just blaring the songs and singing them around the house, completely missing the lessons and the history that they're putting in it. Go watch Frozen, y'all. 1 and 2. Look, listen.
Pay attention to it until you know.
Right. Yeah, my husband said, well, you don't pay attention to it till you know. Very good point, husband. Okay. Verse 4. Now, therefore, after the fireboats had cruised about a while, displaying their splendor, 3 of them departed, leaving only the fireboat of Luamong's host remaining. The captain of this boat had said, it is not sufficient that I come hither. Oh, listen, here's what's crazy. Even in Frozen, they even use the term out of Oahspe for the voice that's leading Elsa on to listen. You need to go check this out. Guess what? Some of y'all probably know, but do you know that she refers to this voice that's leading her to the truth that she doesn't quite know. She's trying to figure it out, right? She's really she's breaking out of everything. Like her parents, like, listen, you're not like other children. You got these superpowers, and we need to keep you boxing here. Not realizing she had those gifts to help set everybody free, but they told her, no, you didn't harm, you didn't hurt your sister. We just need to keep you locked away from everybody. But the longer she stayed locked away, the worse things got, until this voice kept coming to her. And literally throughout Frozen, she calls this the voice, right? I'm like, it literally just blew my mind while I was sitting there watching. I was like, as many times as this played, why have I never paid attention to this, right? So the one that saves everybody, brings everybody together, where the nations of people were divided from Arendelle and them ruling, trying to keep out all this stuff. It's crazy. The voice is leading her on. And she said, it's the voice. The voice doesn't exist, Elsa. It's all in your head. The voice is what set everybody free, right? The people of Gul. You will see the people Guatama in there. The lands of Guatama, how they came. That's those scenes, those flashbacks that she saw as she followed the voice, and he opened her eyes to what really happened and the lies that she had been living under all her life, but she knew something wasn't right, right? Go watch it. I ain't gonna say no more, especially if y'all haven't seen it. That's probably enough spoiler for now. Listen. Verse 5. The captain of this The captain of this boat had said, "It is not sufficient that I come hither and find the foreign god departed. I will ascertain what hath been said and done, and what these Jehovah worshippers are up to." And he went aside and made his boat fast, and he and his host, arrayed in splendor, went and talked with the inhabitants of paradise, inquiring amongst other things the cause of such great rejoicing amongst the people. And one of the people, being unguarded, said, "Behold, it is well with us that we rejoice. God, Jehovah's Son, hath inspired a new mortal anchorage. He hath taken Colombo across the ocean and showed him a new country where only the great spirit Jehovah is worshipped." The captain of the fireboat thus discovered one of the plans of God for redeeming the world, but the captain disclosed not his joy, though presently he and his host went aboard and departed, making all haste to Hapsindi, the heaven of Luamung, the false Christ. On the day after Luamung learned this matter, he sent a warship with 7 million warring angels to stir up a mutiny against mortals in countries which Colombo sailed. And by inspiration, Luamung's warrior angels did set the rulers of Spain against Colombo and had him cast in prison, thus breaking the chain of inspiration betwixt Colombo and the throne of God. In the meantime, Luamung's angels made all haste to have mortal ships and shipmasters of their own kind across the ocean to the countries Colombo had discovered. This right here is in history. We can find this. Maybe not the history that they give you in a public school system, but there is a lot of books like Before Columbus Came, all these different books that give you this history of this stuff, the stuff that they didn't, that had they added to the public school curriculum, we would have a whole lot of questions. Yes, baby.
I got on my brother flip-flops.
You got on your brother flip-flops?
Good.
I see. I like how you put your pants on. Look at that. Shouldn't that tag, should you be able to see that tag?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That must be the new style, son.
Yeah.
See, because I don't think we supposed to be able to see this tag. You got them on inside out and backwards. So take them off, flip them right side out, and turn them around where your tag should be in the back.
But I got drawers.
I'm very, very glad you got on drawers. Got it?
What up?
Careful. Okay. I'll read verse 12 again. Thus did Luamung's mortal worshippers cross over to Gautama, and with them Luamung landed and stationed in Gautama 1,000 million angel warriors, sworn laborers to the false Christ, to establish him in these great lands. When God saw how evil had already taken root in these countries, behold, he was doubly resolved to obey Jehovah's commandment in regard to the Inquisition, in which Jehovah had said, "Suffer Luamung to carry out the Inquisitions, to put to death whomsoever he will. For it shall come to pass that the spirits of those he slayed in Roma and Venus and Napla and all other cities and countries will remain in their places with vengeance on their souls. And the time shall come when thou shalt withdraw thy protecting angel host from these cities, and behold, angels' vengeance will come forth and visit their wrath upon this false god, his kingdoms." So God was strong in resolution to let evil take its course. And so in all countries where the false Christ had been afflicting mortals, God withdrew his protecting host, leaving those countries and those heavens to take their course. Now, this explains a whole heck of a lot about slavery and why it was allowed to go on for so long. There is a major wrath that's going to come down upon the head of Luamung and all the false gods, all these people that you've killed because of their color or whatever it is, the Spanish Inquisition, the transatlantic slave trade, whatever you want to label this. The Creator allowed all of this to happen because these remaining 4 false gods, they're real hard-headed, right? Boy, they preparing their own demise. Bruh, I would say a few smart remarks about I'm just not. I ain't even gonna say it. Because I just thought about the scripture where we shouldn't really be saying. It just caught me right there, but I was gone. But it had to do with this. Let me just go. I'm gonna read it over. Okay. Verse 14, 650, page 650. Suffer Luamong to carry out the Inquisitions, to put to death whom so, and if y'all haven't even looked into like the Spanish Inquisitions and stuff that was happening right before the transatlantic slave trade, all that stuff, some people say it didn't happen or whatever. Nah, there are certain things that did happen, but to make sense of it all, you should look, you should have your Oahspe and go get some of these things and read them in conjunction, like have them open together, right? Because this will give you the heavenly account, which is going to verify what they done already given us, right? Look. Suffer Luamong to carry out the Inquisitions, to put to death whomsoever he will. For it shall come to pass that the spirits of those he slayed in Aroma and Venus and Napla and all other cities and countries will remain in their places with vengeance on their souls. And the time shall come when thou shalt withdraw thy protecting angel host from these cities, and behold, these angels of vengeance will come forth and visit their wrath upon this false God and his kingdoms. So God was strong in resolution to let evil take its course. And so in all countries where the false Christ had been afflicting mortals, God withdrew his protecting host, leaving those countries and those heavens to take their course. And it came to pass And it came to pass, the angels of vengeance came forth for battle, to battle other angels, and to obsess mortals unto battle also, and all against the false Christ. Thus was opened the door for the split in Luamong's doctrines, which was to ultimate in the entire overthrow. Hold on. I think it's ultimate, not ultimate. I would say ultimate. Thus was opened the door for the split in Luamong's doctrines, which was to ultimate in the entire overthrow of the Trinity and of the Holy Ghost and of Luamong also under his false name. Thus did war begin again on earth and in Luamong's heavens about himself and his doctrines. To make matters worse for himself, he established angel emissaries in his earthly kingdom in Roma to inspire the popes to cause mortals to be scourged, imprisoned, and put to death for heresy. And these things were done in the name of Christ and the Holy Ghost. This is still happening today. This is still Luamong's kingdom and full of fact. And it came to pass that no man could express a word or thought reflecting upon Luamong's earthly doctrines or government without falling a victim to mortal and angel emissaries of this false Christ. Verily were many of these mortal cities obsessed by angels of darkness and evil. In course of time, behold, mortals inspired by vengeance-loving spirits rose up against Luamong's popes and cardinals and protested against the abnegation of man's right to think for himself. And these people called themselves Protestants, professing that there were two Christs, a true one and a false one. And moreover, they themselves were worshipers of the true Christ. Nevertheless, they were also under the inspiration of evil angels, but they fell to work burning and flaying their opponents also. And God foresaw that now was the time to inspire the Western nations of Europa to great learning and science and to philosophy and to Western migration. Yes. Yes. So God sent angels to teach man once more the telescope and the art of printing, and to inspire man to question the spiritual powers of kings.
After you're done, you can let me hop on your phone.
No, you're not going to hop on my phone. Thus was Luamong's power in great measure locked up in managing his disrupted kingdoms, whilst God's holy angels pursued the road of righteous development for the coming era of Cosmon. Possibly the Renaissance BC. It's good. Tabitha, I just saw your comment from earlier. Notice the unguarded person spilled the news about what's about to occur. I know, right? Man, you talk too much. All this was intentional, though. A slip of the tongue. Absolutely right. All right, y'all. Chapter 10. Check my Roman numerals. X is 10. All right. Page 651. Where we at? We had an hour. And it's Saturday. All right. S said, when God saw that Luamong's warrior angels had come upon the earth regions discovered by Colombo, God withdrew, saying, behold, I will use this as a testimony unto Jehovah and against this false Christ in time to come. For I will withdraw my angel host and give up for a season the central lands of Gautama. And it shall come to pass that mortals in these lands shall not prosper in peace, nor righteousness, nor in learning, nor in science, nor in inventions, nor in anything good under the sun. For Luamong's warrior angels shall obsess them, and they shall build up and then destroy. And the people of Aliates and the people of Aliates, the Yodopans shall be destroyed, and the Etuans and their cities shall be ruined. Okay, so after Yodopans, Yodopans, this reference letter B. Go to page 663, and it says, Aliates was Mexico, and the Yodopans were the Montezumas, which probably refers to the Aztecs, 1882 edition. Pull in that information as well. We talked about that a little bit before. You know what? It's different. Listen, y'all got to pay attention. Don't be coming down on different people's head, right? Because different people are bringing out different portions of this truth. Like we got Oahspe, right? But some other people are bringing out the like the historical earth portions, to where if you've been reading it enough and you're paying attention, you're able to connect those pieces. That what's the gentleman doing the whole South America portion with Montezuma and the Aztecs? Corey Mayo. His information is very valuable to us, right? Because we can see that he's just that's all he does. That information there with Americas and South America, even the lay of the land, what it looked like, the people, the colors, what happened, the different time things, the different time periods. Also, I have not looked at his channel in a very long while, because he was doing a mix of like the Hebrew Israelite. Well, no, he was transitioning, and he was getting more into that like Curry Mayo, Big Judah, right? I don't agree with everything that he says, but this portion, the South America portion, that stuff I know to be right on point, right? So let's remember, we're in an era where we keeping the good, getting rid of the bad, right? So it's a lot of people with different pieces of the bigger puzzle, right? If you have enough patience to sift through the information, to bring the pieces together, right? A lot of this stuff, he said, we can see this. So everybody's doing their part. Remember, we're all one family, right? The eyes don't do the job of the feet. The hands don't do the job of the kneecaps, right? But it's all of the parts of the body have their own individual functions for the perfection and the overall health of this one body, right? Just think about it like that. Shogun Don Trill Shalom, the Shogun of Harlem. I watch so many movies. Look, right, set apart. Great. He gives great information. Elijah said, "True, yeah. Curry Mayo is great, and yes, Dan Calloway. Dane Calloway, yes. Them like my top two. Dane Calloway and Curry Mayo. I'd recommend anybody trying to put the pieces. You can trust them guys. Most, at least from what I've seen in my own personal research, checking behind them, right? I can trust their information. So I feel good. If that's what you're looking for, trying to fill in that piece, there are two awesome resources. Dane Calloway and Curry Mayo, right? BC, exactly. I've been finding pieces of truth in a lot of these doctrines. It's like leaven in different lumps of truth, right? Steph, shalom. I haven't looked at his channel in a while either, but good information. That's Ray. Hi. Okay, let's go back up. Chapter 10. As said, when God saw that Luamong's warrior angels had come upon the earth regions discovered by Colombo, God withdrew, saying, Behold, I will use this as a testimony unto Jehovah and against this false Christ in time to come. For I will withdraw my angel hosts and give up for a season the central lands of Gautama. I know we read a little bit down, but I wanted to, because we was only like at 3. So that's why I wanted to start it again. For I will withdraw my angel host and give up for a season the central lands of Gautama, and it shall come to pass that mortals in these lands shall not prosper in peace, nor righteousness, nor in learning, nor in science, nor in inventions, nor in anything good under the sun. For Luamong's warrior angels shall obsess them, and they shall build up and then destroy, and the people of Aliates, the Yodopans, shall be destroyed, and the Etuans and their cities shall be ruined. Now it came to pass, as spoken by God, the central lands of Gautama from sea to sea fell under the dominion of the warrior angels of Luamong, the false Christ, and they became warriors and destroyers. Nor rose they in peace, nor wisdom, nor in anything good under the sun, but they lived as pilfers, debauchees, warriors, murderers, and idolaters of the false Christ. God had said, I will go to the northward, to the western coast of Europa, and my angel host shall inspire another people to migrate to Gautama for consciousness sake. Or, and in parentheses, after consciousness sake, it says Jehovah's sake. And it shall be proved in time to come that they whom I shall take across the ocean shall inherit Gautama, and they shall prosper in peace and virtue and wisdom and learning and inventions. And man in after time shall witness the difference betwixt the people of Luamong's professions as compared with mine own in the northern regions. And so God sent his angel hosts among the factions of Western Europa and inspired mortals to rise up and depart out of that country for conscience sake. And they that were inspired of God crossed over the ocean and landed in Gautama. And they named the place of their landing Plymouth Rock, saying, For God's sake and for liberty, help us, O thou, our creator. But they said not for Christ's sake, nor for the sake of the Holy Ghost. Nevertheless, Luamong's angel warriors had accompanied them across the ocean, and when they beheld what mortals had done, they departed by means of the mortal ships returning to Europa, for these angels were too low in grade to cross the ocean without the presence of mortals. Ain't that something? Listen to this. This says a whole lot about some of the spirits, right? Look. Some of the spirits are lower in grade than some of us humans are. Some humans are higher in grade than some of the spirits are, which is when you get to a certain point, we ain't nothing else we can do here. We gotta go. We can't even jump out the closet and scare them no more. Let's find another house to spook. I found a portal across the street in John's closet. Let's go. Nevertheless, Luamong angel warriors had accompanied them across the ocean, and when they beheld what mortals had done, they departed by means of the mortal ships returning to Europa, for these angels were too low in grade to cross the ocean without the presence of mortals. And when they had come to the other side, they reported to Luamong's angel generals what had been done by mortals in Gautama. And these angel generals sent a dispatch to Hapsindi, Luamong's heavenly kingdom, to learn his will and pleasure. Luamong sent back word as followeth to wit: send thou a sufficient, inspiring host to obsess all mortals who have thus possessed Gautama, or the Americas, lest the country fall into Jehovah's hands. Oh, it's too late. He got us. Lest the country fall into Jehovah's hands. Spare them not, possess all, or ruin all in the name of Christ and the Holy Ghost. And thus it came to pass, as regarded this false Christ and his affairs with God. Hey, son, we're not gonna start that. Take that back outside. We do not ride scooters in my house. Let's go. Don't drag it, Bella. Pick that up, please.
No,
Jackson, Bella. Pick it. No, don't take it back by riding it. Pick it up and carry it to the garage. No, baby, she's gonna do it. Thank you, Bella. Yeah.
You want to know that? Oh, you know better than that. Take up with the back of the garage.
Yeah, she didn't have it. She got it from Jackson. She taking it back. And thus it came to pass, as regardeth this false Christ and his affairs with God. The latter had inspired, for the sake of Jehovah, certain other people in northwestern Europa who were faithless in heart, but not practicers of the rites and ceremonies, called Quakers, to migrate to Gautama to shape the destiny of the inhabitants to peace and virtue and wisdom. And these Quakers were covenant to Jehovah to never engage in war, nor to quarrel, nor to contend with any man for opinion's sake. Let me go back and read that again. We all heard of the Quakers, right? Verse 12. And thus it came to pass, as regarded this false Christ and his affairs with God. The latter had inspired, for sake of Jehovah, certain other people in northwestern Europa who were faithless in heart, but not practicers of the rites and ceremonies, called Quakers. Hold on, before I go any further. After ceremonies is reference number 3. After rites and ceremonies, reference number 3. Okay. I see what the page is doing. It threw me off. Okay. 3. Who called themselves Quakers. Okay. The latter had inspired, for sake of Jehovah, certain other people in northwestern Europa who were faithless in heart, but not practicers of the rites and ceremonies, called Quakers, to migrate to Gautama to shape the destiny of the inhabitants to peace and virtue and wisdom. And these Quakers were covenanted to Jehovah to never engage in war, nor to quarrel, nor to contend with any man for opinion's sake. So Luamong's obsessing angels did fall upon the colonies of settlers in Gautama and obsessed them to flay and to burn and to exterminate the Quakers for Christ's sake, as mortals said. And the angels of Luamong inspired mortals to lie in wait for any such other faiths as might migrate to Gautama. God has said, suffer these hardships to my people to be recorded, for in Cosmon they shall be testimony of the power of heaven on mortals. And it's 2 references here. After power of heaven on mortals is reference number 4, which says 3 verses were deleted from the 1882 edition as follows. And it gives us 17, 18, and 19. And that's what threw me off, because it's in bold and it's italicized. And I was looking for 3 down at the bottom of the paragraphs where I normally see them. Shebrew, hey girl, hey. Listen. Okay, so this is what was deleted. Verse 17. To the end that these might become historical, God suffered Lu amongst angels to raise up and obsess one, Cotton Mather, who devoted his time and labor to the establishing of this false God. And the said Cotton Mather not only accomplished these wicked deeds, but he put himself on record as a worshiper of Christ. Thus, as followeth were his words to wit, September 1682. And he begins to speak. This is a part of verse 18. To ye aged and beloved John Higginson, there be now at sea a ship for our friend Esaias Holdcroft of London did advise me by the last packet that it would sail sometime in August. Call ye welcome our Greenwise master, which has aboard 100 or more of ye heretics and malignants called Quakers, with W. Penn, maybe William Penn, but it's W. Penn, who is ye scamp at ye head of them. Ye general court has accordingly given secret orders to Master Malachi Hustek of ye brig Porpos to waylay ye said welcome as near ye coast of Cod as may be, and make captives of ye Penn and his ungodly crew, so that ye Lord may be glorified and not mocked on ye soil of this new country with ye heathen worshippers of these people. Much spoil can be made by selling ye whole lot to Barbados, where slaves fetch good prices in rum and sugar, and we shall not only do ye Lord great service by punishing ye wicked, but shall make gain for his ministers and people. Yours in ye bowels of Christ, Cotton Mather. Such then were the trials of God in establishing Jehovah in Gautama, and yet the bitterest struggle had not yet begun. And that is the end of that reference, of reference number 4. But also after reference number 4 is reference letter C for the end of the same thing. And so hop over to page. So pretty much if you didn't get that, I know he talking in King James lingo. He pretty much said, listen, some Quakers on the way, my G. They're going to mess up everything, kill them all. That's it in a nutshell. He said we can't suffer this and do it all in the name of Christ and the Holy Ghost. Okay. C. Okay. Page 663. The 3 deleted verses were intentional. Dr. Newborough ordered them to be deleted because he knew there were descendants of Cotton Mather still living, and he felt that these personal references were therefore inappropriate. He also ordered the name Lincoln to be changed to the president for the same reason. Those changes appear in later verses. I read ahead about this, right? Listen, I already told y'all about this, but when we get to that, when we get to this President Lincoln and what was happening, and what's the female, the African American woman? I forgot her name, but I got this. I hadn't already got the books. I started going through it. I'm like, yo, this is amazing. Listen, okay, chapter 11, page 652. As said, hear ye, O earth, and ye heavens of the earth, of the ways of Jehovah through his God, in this his kingdom. Understand ye how all things are accomplished for the ultimate triumph of righteousness. Now, after the Ethereal angels came to paradise, in answer to God's prayer for help, God divided his host unto all the earth and the heavens thereof, not for sudden triumph by violent means, but to the end that man should, in after years, comprehend the wisdom and glory of Jehovah. So God made divisions of his host, 4 divisions for the earth, and 7 for the heavens of the earth. And after made is reference number 5. And number 5 at the bottom actually says 11 divisions. So God made divisions of his host, 4 divisions for the earth, and 7 for the heavens of the earth. And as chiefs of the 4 divisions for the earth, he appointed Ezen, Khan, Acho, and Lakash to go to Hada, the heavenly kingdoms of the 4 false gods, to establish a god thence to the earth. Right, Elijah, I saw your comment explains why certain books were taken out of the Oahspe. Right. Key. Hey, girl, hey. Verse 5, page 652. And God gave to each of them 1,000 million hosts to labor with them. And when these were all selected and had come before the throne of God, he said unto them, because the 4 false gods have accomplished all the good they can accomplish and are now only leading mortals and angels down into darkness, I shall presently cut them and their supplies off from the earth. In that day and hour, there will be danger in heaven. For there are more than 300 million spirits in the Hadan heavens who were put to untimely deaths in order to establish the false Brahma, the false Buddha, the false Christ, and the false god Gabriel. Go ye then to your places and provide yourselves in wisdom and strength. Guard well these spirits, for once they congregate for vengeance' sake, they will cast their gods in hell. They answered with one voice, Jehovah's will and thine be done. And they saluted and departed. Then God then called up the other 7 of the holy 11 to wit, Yopaz Leo, and after Yopaz Leo's reference number 6, and at the bottom it says Lo, Loe. Yopaz Leo, Likhar, Vadhuin, Ardofus, Eutemis, Zahawi, and after Zahawi is reference number 7, and at the bottom it says Zahawi. It's just spelled different by removing one of the E's at the end. Zahawi and Yedina, together with their 7,000 million hosts, and he said unto them, behold, the 11 kingdoms which have been preparing for more than 2,000 years shall now be opened up and established with roadways to the kingdoms of the 4 false gods. For the time is near at hand when I shall cast them out and remove them and their kingdoms away from the earth and forever. That a revolt may be prevented, ye shall provide places and vessels for the removal of their druhas, of which there are more than 20,000 million. Go then to your respective places, and be ye ready by the time of my command. They answered unanimously, Jehovah's will and thine be done. And they saluted and departed also. After this, God appointed 12 of the Ethereal gods and goddesses as a severing host, and he allotted to them 6,000 million angels to work with them when the time should require them. To these 12 gods and goddesses, God said, when the time is at hand, behold, ye shall take your 6,000 million hosts and cut off all the earth's supplies on which the 4 false gods and their kingdoms subsist. And their kingdoms shall fall in anarchy and ruin. Their druhas shall be liberated, none shall stay them, and they shall fall upon their gods' kingdoms and despoil them utterly, and cast their false gods into hell. And after hell is anarchy. Go therefore to the places whither I have provided, as my messengers will show you, and make ready in all things for the time and the signal of my hand. So these 12 gods and goddesses saluted and departed for their labor also. Now, as yet, none but the holy council and the gods and goddesses knew the plans of God, Jehovah's Son, nor the object and labor provided unto the host sent forth to all parts of the earth and the Haden lowest heavens. Nevertheless, God commanded the officers to maintain lines of light with this throne in paradise, so that concert of action would manifest all around the earth in the same moment of time. Now therefore be it known that of the fireboats and crews sent by the false gods to paradise, only one, Luamungs, returned to tell the tale of chagrin and disappointment in not meeting the Ethereal god Lita Bakrathava. As for the other 3, fitted out so extravagantly with a million hosts, crowned and adorned in such magnificence, they concluded to go away, each into a different heavenly region, and establish 3 independent kingdoms of their own. Many of these angel hosts had been promised for hundreds of years that they should have sub kingdoms with millions of slaves, but had ever been put off until they were discouraged. Accordingly, they resolved to appropriate their outfits in finding thrones and capitals. So the fireboats, sent out by Enochissa, returned to his heavenly regions, but not to Enochissa. And that of Kabbalactes went to his regions, but not to Kabbalactes. And that of Gabriel, Thoth, returned to his regions, but not to him. And they all proceeded much after the same manner, which was after having founded a place to go about in the fireboat, enticing subjects to come to their places. And it came to pass, ere the respective masters were aware of it, they had heavenly kingdoms with hundreds of millions of slaves. When the 3 false gods, Enochissa, Kabbalactes, and Gabriel God, heard of the proceedings of their traitorous subjects, they separately declared war against the pretenders. And not many years, therefore, from their small beginning, great wars engrossed these 3 false gods' kingdoms on every side, but wholly interior to each one's own kingdom. So they had household wars going on, which enabled God, Jehovah's Son, to pursue the 2 great plans for the redemption of mortals and angels. These plans were to provide protection to the Kayans, and then the Kayuans or Kayu, Confucius. Okay. These plans were to provide protection to the Kayuans, Confucius of China, the worshippers of Jehovah, and to found the country of Gautama free from the grasp of Luamung. So, as soon as God had provided a sufficient protecting host of angels for the Kayuans, he devoted his energies to Gautama and her heavens. Next chapter, chapter 12. Oh yeah, 127. We'll read this one more chapter. Maybe we'll read 2 because they're going to establish the Republic of Gautama. So we'll read 2 more because it's Saturday. We'll read 2 more chapters and we'll be done. Page 653, chapter 12. Whilst the heavens of the earth were thus stirred up with war and with anticipated misfortunes and strange doctrines, there came to paradise before the throne of God a host of 7,000 angels who had been victims of the Inquisitions under the inspiration of the false Christ, Luamung, praying an audience with God. Accordingly, after the chief marshal had announced this before the throne and the holy council, God commanded them to approach and speak. And those who were leaders then came and spake. These were, and forgive me ahead of time now because it's a whole paragraph full of names. So if I mess it up, I'm sorry. These were Rochas, Estella, Cosius, Martin, Agio, Burton, Gardiner, Oguier, Isagades, Thornton, Winkelis, Hepburn, Atonus, Hagu, Bothna, Hyjas, Sidasis, Prague, Septulus, Philine, Portia, Fusa, after Fusa's reference number 8, and that still say Fusa at the bottom and just add an E. Barm, Donia, Sarika, Solomon, Jolliffe, Galileo, Bertimo, Ferdonas, Perbutas, Kudanatus, Paglia, Susa, Ragthaga, Watch Ganine, Givier, Das Patonitus, Liberanes, and after Liberanes is reference number 9, and it's Libercrans at the bottom. Jasmine, Orolf, Meyer, Litz, Herman, Dolce, Mogan, Ruchivolt, Joachim Steimer, Bulk, Kalas, Radby, Yantos, Lechaim, Fetch, Bliney, Catherine, Queen, Lambert, Holt, Wren, Savick, John, Barnes, Sandwalt, Beers, Drumfold, Nakiro, Heimstead, White, Thus, Kirby, Askew, Wolf, Bartholf, Brown, Wishtard, Mill, Sadarak, Gapon, Hutton, Somerset, Raleigh, Bedford, Whalen, Gazen, Darcy, Wallace, Tudon, Taylor, Farrar, Jones, White, Myers, Henry, Atino, Percy, Alice, Flower, Joseph, Milne, Warren, Simpson, Latimer, Ridley, Kramer, Lang, Pesh, Bainbridge, Wellstein, Eileen, Jesse, Ormez, Stavison, and Donald. And after Donald is reference letter D. So go to page 663. And D says, the above names will be found in Fox's Books of Martyrs and Justin's Book of Christian Victims, 1882 edition. All right, go back to page 653. Stavison and Donald, and this is the substance of what they said. Verse 4, chapter 12, page 653. Most holy God, Jehovah's Son, greeting in love, in pity, and in anger. We are not gods, nor pure, nor holy. Therefore, pity us. We are not happy, and we feel that in our struggles to find truth, we have been unfairly used. Therefore, pity us. We were born in mud holes and have soiled garments. Therefore, have compassion upon us. We are in search of clean water that we may go wash ourselves. Therefore, guide us. We have such strength as a mad wolf might be proud for. We have such strength as a mad wolf might be proud of. Therefore, use us. We have not such mercy and forgiveness as becometh God's. Therefore, give us rough work to do. Such work, in fact, as would require no one to split a hair to discern right or wrong. Not that we desire to glut ourselves in vengeance against the false Christ. One step higher, O God. As such a matter, if an innocent lamb were pursued by a wolf, give us to rush in and save the lamb. Now behold, the rumor hath come to us that thou wilt establish Gautama free from the dominion of gods and saviors, and it cometh to this. We are so far on the road to purification that we can no longer catch the false Christ angels and hurl them into hell. Nevertheless, we are not so fastidiously pure, but we would seize his evil working angels and hold them by the throats till thou hast had great. They serious about this thing. Nevertheless, we are not so fastidiously pure, but we would seize his evil working angels and hold them by the throats till thou hast thy great country founded safely for Jehovah's kingdom. If, therefore, thou can appropriate 7,000 angels in some loose and unscrupulous corner to do thee good service against thy... Yes, Bella.
Justin is knocking over my stuff.
Okay, didn't he just come back down here? Oh, that was Saya. Go tell Dad to talk to Jackson. Go tell Elijah. Elijah! Go get Elijah. Tell Elijah, come here. Go get Elijah. Oh, you just want to stand right here? You want to give him the run of things?
I just want to end the video already.
I'm almost done. So hold on, y'all. Hold on. I know you just want to. Hold on. Hey, babe. Okay. Verse 17, page 654. If therefore thou canst appropriate 7,000 angels, look, he's saying, listen, they already down here, right? It's some unscrupulous characters. Just turn a blind eye, but make sure they over here in this particular corner. Turn a blind eye, so at least they in place for what we want to do, right? It's just, just leave them right there because they can help us in this. If therefore thou canst appropriate 7,000 angels in some loose and unscrupulous corner to do thee good service against the tyrant and remorseless Luamong, behold, we stand before Jehovah and thee to do thy will as thou mayest command. God said unto them, my brothers and sisters, in the name of Jehovah, I welcome you. What ye can do, that shall ye do, nor shall any but yourselves judge yourselves. As far as ye have the light of the Father, so shall ye serve him. To him only are ye responsible. For his triumph shall be the redemption of heaven and earth. Behold, Luamong will surely inspire a war, both in Gautama with mortals and in the heavens thereof with the angels. My host shall inspire the mortals of Gautama to found a government free from the dominion of gods and saviors, the not mixing of church and state. My angel host shall inspire. Yo, hold up. A whole thought just hit me when I said that out my mouth that I hadn't even thought. Hold on. Behold, Luamong will surely inspire a war, both in Gautama with mortals and in the heavens thereof with angels. My angel host shall inspire the mortals of Gautama to found a government free from the dominion of gods and saviors. War will follow. Now, behold, I have appointed Yotahiza as my lord for those regions. Repair ye thither with my messengers who know the way, and Yotahiza will receive you in my name and give you work in justice, truth, and wisdom. The army of the Inquisition then saluted and departed, and they came to Yata Hosea's heavenly station with the colonists in Gautama. Christians definitely look at this from the flip side, upside down. And I completely, like, I'm understanding more and more the creator's way of doing things and just looking at how different things are ran and the different perceptions, right? Coming from the Christian perspective and what they teach you, God or Savior should be in everything, right? Even the Holy Bible. They even want to really do away with that, right? They're separating all of this stuff, right? It's nothing but truths and facts and all of these things. And I'm just like thinking about, I'm like, okay, I can see it from that perspective on how detrimental that would be, right? It's by keeping that, it's gonna make the deliverance a whole lot longer if we intertwine the whole religious piece into the government, which they're trying to keep separate. I understand that. I understand that. Okay. Yeah, sometimes they begin the business. Tabitha. Okay, we're gonna read this last chapter and we're gonna pause. Chapter 13, page 654. The Republic established. S said, since 300 years, the Lewis of God's allotment to the earth had been providing for the generations of men unto the coming work of God. And through these had God, Jehovah's Son, raised up 1,200 men to be directly under the inspiration of the second resurrection for establishing an emancipated government for mortals. And this is something that I heard. It was Curie Mayo when he started talking about the government of the United States and how that was like all already established over here. Because at first it's like, okay, the way you get the teaching is the colonizer came over here and they started dividing up things and they created the government. It's the white man's government and all this stuff. But Mayo, this is the first time I heard it from a different perspective. I'm like, what? They didn't start it. The actual people of Guatemala started the government, and they just kind of came. The colonizer came and just kind of like took over stuff, and you know how they take over stuff, renamed it, and say it was all they work. And he was breaking that down. That one was really good. He did so many videos. I'm not exactly sure where that video was at, but he did do a really, really good video on that, and that it was really good. Yes.
Mom, you know what these zebra cakes?
Everybody ate them all up. Dad has some, but here's a strawberry. You can ask Dad for one. I'm sure he'll share it with you, but you're gonna have to sit in there with Dad and eat it.
Dad said no.
Did you ask him?
Yes.
Oh, then why you coming to ask me? You didn't already ask like the ultimate what? So I can't even tell you yay or nay. Dad didn't already told you no.
You can just go back to the store and get some.
Sis, nope. See, you trying to get me and you in trouble. Look. Hold on. I'm going to just start over. S said, since 300 years, the Lewis of God's allotment to the earth had been providing the generations of men unto the coming work of God. And through these had God, Jehovah's Son, raised up 1,200 men to be directly under the inspiration of the second resurrection for establishing an emancipated government for mortals. And these 1,200 men were raised to grades above 60, and some of them to 80. Chief of these men, raised up by God to establish the foundation of Jehovah's kingdom with mortals, were the following, all of whom stood above grade 80, to wit. Some people might have a problem with these names I'm about to read, but listen, I'm just reading information. Chief of these men, raised up by God to establish the foundation of Jehovah's kingdom with mortals, were the following, all of whom stood above grade 80, to wit, Payne, Jefferson, Adams, Franklin, Carroll, Hancock, and Washington. Into the hands of these 7 men did Jehovah, through his son, into the hands of these 7 men did Jehovah, through God, his son, place the leadership of the mortal host, and they were under the guidance of Jehovah's Lord, Yotahizah. And the Lord caused Payne to proclaim the new doctrines as against Luamung and the sacred books on which the Inquisitions had been carried out. These then were the doctrines of Payne, inspired by the Lord, Jehovah's Son, to wit, 1, the Creator, who is almighty, matchless in wisdom, truth, power, and unity of purpose, the author of all things on the earth and on all other worlds, seen and unseen, that the soul of man is immortal and everlasting, and shall ultimately attain to peace and joy in the heavens of the Almighty, that according to man's good or evil deeds, words, thoughts, and actions whilst on earth, even so shall he inherit in heaven light or darkness, joy or unhappiness. That all the world is my country, and the same right alike to all men. To do good with all of one's wisdom and strength is the highest religion. That man hath a natural right above all kings, priests, and sacred writings to serve his Creator in his own way. No, we're not going to make that today. That this is an age of reason in which all men should be inspired to read and think and judge with their own judgment, and not through any priest or church or savior. I'm going to send you upstairs. I just told you no. I'm going to send you upstairs. that the doctrine of a savior is unjust, that no honest man should accept another's dying for him, that the so-called sacred books are not the writings of the Creator, that their multiplicity of defects prove them to have been manufactured by corruptible authors, that in practice the said sacred books have been used by unprincipled priests to promote wars, inquisitions, tyranny, and destruction, that man should rise up in his might to embrace his Creator by the practice of good works, and by promoting brotherly love toward all men, and by charity and independence, elicit the protection, the pride, and the glory of the Almighty. And after, and the glory of the Almighty is referenced letter E. Jump to page 663, and E says, refer to the Age of Reason, parts 1 and 2 by Thomas Paine. So if y'all got that, or I'm not sure if you can pull that up online. I haven't read that yet, but I actually do have a it's called the Founders Bible, whereas in there nothing but like the lives of these presidents. Hold on, let me get it. Hold on. I ain't telling y'all to go buy this, but I'm just saying some of the resources I've come across that got some of this stuff in it. Hold on. Right here, right? I got this quite a few years ago. It's called the Founders Bible. It's the new with the scriptures that sit inside of here with this extra information about the founders of the Republic. This is the American Standard Bible, right? But even on the back, the origin of the dream of freedom inspires renewed passion for the word of God, the rock upon which this republic rests. Right? Now we know keep was good, burn was bad, right? But in here, all throughout here, there are pages they're like more like laminated pages, and they stick out throughout the whole Bible. That's what makes this so thick. All these footnotes and historical pieces about the first few presidents and the Declaration of Independence, preamble, all these different things are located in this particular Bible. They hid those gems in this, and they call it the Founders Bible. Right? I got all kind of reference materials, y'all. All right. All right, so go back to page 654.
Baking cake.
No, we about to put all that back.
It smells like
you done? Okay. Chapter 13 on page 654, verse 19. That man should rise up in his might to embrace his Creator by the practice of good works, and by promoting brotherly love toward all men, and by charity and independence, elicit the protection, the pride, and the glory of the Almighty. The doctrines of God, Paine proclaimed publicly, and they were printed and circulated amongst the inhabitants of Gautama. And it came to pass that they fell into the hands of such men and women as had been previously been prepared by God to receive them. And these people applauded the new doctrines to so great an extent that the colonies repudiated the divine right or deviant laws of kings to govern without the consent of the governed. Luamong, the false Christ, perceived the design of God, Jehovah's Son, and immediately sent down to the earth to Gautama. Not until I'm done. Y'all get out of the kitchen. Bella, girl, you this close to me coming for you. Quit all that whining. Y'all go back upstairs. Luamong, the false Christ, perceived the design of God, Jehovah's Son, and immediately sent down to the earth to Gautama 2,000 angel warriors. Now, let me just say this, just in case y'all think, girl, if you don't get off here and feed them babies, they've been up since they opened their eyes. Down here in my kitchen, snacking on everything they can find, right? Sneaking into stuff. So ain't nobody starving. I just want to say that because some people like, you better get your fast and order your house. They already been eating up stuff that they ain't even supposed to been in. That's why I say, get out of here until I'm done, right? Leftovers from last night. It come down here, plates, they didn't have syrup. They didn't got rolls and heated them up in a microwave, syrup all over my all of this. That's ain't nobody starving. I just want to say that just in case y'all think I might be negating my motherly and household roles, right? Not that I needed to tell y'all that, but for the sake of some people that's looking for reasons to discredit truth because of the messenger, I just want to put that out there, right? Verse 22, page 655. Luamong, the false Christ, perceived the design of God, Jehovah's Son, and immediately sent down to the earth to Gautama 2,000 angel warriors to overthrow Paine's doctrine and to precipitate the colonies into war against the home government in Western Europa. So, war in Gautama on earth and in the heavens thereof set in. Mortals against mortals and angels against angels. The Lord Yotahizah now assigned the army of the Inquisition, the 7,000 angels sent of God to be the protecting host to the 7 leaders of the Gautama revolt. Besides these angels, who were generals and captains of the host, there were of non-commissioned angel officers 2,784 who had also been martyred as to earth life by scourging and by the rack and by being pulled in quarters and by being burnt, who were distributed amongst the mortal armies of soldiers. And these angel officers had angel armies and companies disciplined and quartered in the camps of the mortals with the soldiers. Such then were the inspiring hosts, varying in number from 6 million to 12 million, who remained with the soldiers of the Republic during the war, day and night, inspiring them to fortitude and manipulating them to give them health and strength and endurance. God spake to the angel commander of these hosts, saying, though thy hosts inspire these mortals to liberty as to earthly things, yet thou shalt take advantage of this opportunity to sow the seed of higher spiritual light amongst them. Remember then the sermon of the All High. There is but one great spirit, Jehovah, and this shall thy host forever inspire mortals with. For 7 years the war lasted, and during all the while, the earthly commander, Washington, was under the guardianship of the commander of the angel host, and there were detailed to guard Washington day and night 1,000 angels. And though he was shot at and in many ways sought for to be destroyed, these angels saved him, even catching in their hands the bullets that were fired at him. Right after this, after fired at him, is reference letter F. F says, yes, son. Boy, go back upstairs. I'll be done in a few minutes. Bye. There, so that wasn't you down here with them? With all the rolls and syrup and stuff? Okay, well, I'll be done in a few minutes. On page 663, there exists anecdotal evidence to support this. Washington's coat was found with bullet holes, even though he had no wounds. See Washington, the Indispensable Man by J.T. Flaxner, one of the many books that documented this observation. All right, go back to page 655. And it's 48 verses, y'all, and we're on verse 29. And in like manner were many other mortal leaders and privates in the war protected and saved from harm by angels. And yet all this while the angels of Luamong fought on the other side, endeavoring to pull away the guardian angels and so make the mortal leaders vulnerable. But these angels were lower in grade and less potent, and withal not so enthusiastic, for they had not suffered martyrdom. Jehovah hath said, rather let a man glory in martyrdom for righteousness' sake, for herein he taketh high resolves against evil, which resolves are a great power to the soul when it entereth heaven. And it came to pass that the republic was established. And after established is reference letter G. Hop back to page 663. And G says, it's pretty long. Okay. G says, let me mark my spot so I don't forget. Okay. 663 at the bottom, G says, considering the Revolutionary War as a whole, it is clear that the establishment of this nation as the angelic host had intended was not a simple process. When the Constitutional Convention was finally convened, the delegates were much more varied in their development and interest than the core group the angelic host had initially inspired. Book of S, chapter 13, verse 5. Each delegate had his own agenda to advance. Consequently, the angelic host had to inspire all of them as best they could and hope for the best. In spite of the fact that the angelic hosts were predictably successful in accomplishing their primary goal to establish a republic free of divine right, any religion enforced by law and the right to speak, write, or publish as one wills, therefore remained one fatal flaw in that compromise document. Through the agreements that generated the 3/5 clause and the fugitive slave clause, a lot of us, or my Hebrew brethren, right? Some of the Aborigines understand what the 3/5 clause is. We ain't gonna get into it, but go look that up. Through the agreements that generated the 3/5 clause and the fugitive slave clause, the delegates had tacitly enshrined slavery in the Constitution. The angelic host knew that the continuance of this grave injustice could not stand, and that this constitutional shortcoming imposed a spiritual bondage, a spiritual debt on this new republic that would have to be repaid in full sooner or later. In less than a century, a mere heartbeat in the realm of spirit, war did follow to address that self-imposed spiritual debt. And we all know what that was, right? Look. It is clear that President Lincoln, I thought it was going to say it, but it's the Civil War. Listen. It is clear that President Lincoln understood this spiritual burden, for he so eloquently stated that fact in his second inaugural address on March the 4th, 1865, a little more than 1 month before his assassination. Quote, it may seem strange that any man should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's faces. Yet, if God wills that it, and it's right here, I didn't see it, I just glanced real quick, I didn't see it, but it's here. Yet, if God wills that it, and in brackets it has the Civil War, yet if God wills that it, the Civil War, continue until all the wealth piled by the bondmen's 250 years unrequited. Hold on. Okay, I just had to make sure I was reading that right and saying the word right. Let me start over. Quote, it may seem strange that any man should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's faces. Yet, if God wills that it, the Civil War, continue until all the wealth piled by the bondman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn by the sword. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. And that is actually the end of this reference letter G. Okay. Yeah, some of this stuff, like if you like you a history buff and you get into stuff, when I get to certain portions through here, I'm able to bring those pieces together because I've already been studying this. And some of this stuff they even give you in the public school system, right? So it's easy to kind of catch on to some of it. But it's really amazing to see how we get the heavenly account of what was happening at the same time we were getting bits and pieces of the earthly account, right? It puts this whole scattered puzzle together. Now we can kind of see what this puzzle picture might actually be. It's taking shape, but we can recognize some things. Okay. All right, back to page 655. We're almost done. Verse 34. And God caused the commander of the angels who had accomplished this work to call his host together that they might hear the voice of Jehovah. And there thus assembled 18,340,000 in number in an extemporized heaven above the Hagon mountains, where the chief of paradise had already prepared an altar to Jehovah for the occasion. Of the higher grades from other plateaus were here assembled in the sacred circle 70 million angels to promote the voice, of which matters God had previously sent word to Aroku that a chain of light might be made to the upper heavens. Now, when the angels of the Inquisition were thus assembled before God and duly placed by the marshals, God caused the light to be lowered so that they might rejoice rather than suffer because of its brilliancy. And when God sat on the throne and the Essenars had chanted unto Jehovah glory for having founded the republic of mortals, a ray of light was seen descending from the upper realms, and it extended down to the throne of God, where now on all sides the illumination was in splendor. Presently, just above the throne, a single star of light was formed, and out of this came the voice of Jehovah saying, Peace, my beloved. The way is open. Liberty to the conscience of mortals is founded on earth. Ye have lifted them above the bondage of the gods. Because you were cut down before ye had finished your labor on earth, I suffered ye to come back to mortals to complete your own aspirations. Because you united with one another in companies and phalanxes for a good work, instead of working single-handed, ye are now admitted into the second resurrection of my kingdoms. By the light of my throne are ye this day absolved from the bondage of earth and first resurrection. The voice ceased. But God spake unto his marshals, saying, Provide ye an avalanza sufficient for the ascension of these my beloved angels, and take them to the fields and forests of Atusabak in the Orthion Plateau, where I have already provided them ample residences. And after they are delivered, grade them and give unto them suitable instructors and companions, that in due time they may become brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah and ascend to the emancipated kingdoms in the Ethereal worlds. Suffer them now to pass before the throne, that they may receive badges from the Most High. For these will be to them a connection with the exalted kingdoms. Verse 45 on page 656. The marshals then filed them past the throne, and there fell from the heavens above upon them badges of immortal light, unchangeable. And the builders and Utis bought them an avalanza, and they went therein to the sound of the singing of 3 million voices in Jehovah's praise. And when they were within, God again spake to them, saying, Ye go now far off from the earth. But as ye freed this land unto itself, and now go away, behold, I will call ye back again before another 100 years to free the people from the doctrines and creeds of the ancients. No God, nor Lord, nor Saviors shall be enforced in this land. Till then, Jehovah be with you all and give you joy and happiness. Till then, Jehovah be with you all and give you joy and happiness. Thereupon the officers of the Avalanza set it in motion, rising upward. The musicians, they that remained, and they that ascended, sang and trumpeted until the fire ship ascended out of sight. And that, my beautiful people, is where we would end at today. That was really, really good. I gotta go pull up a couple little history things that I got and revisit some stuff and look at it and kind of compare some of the things in here that I now know, right? This is really, really good, y'all. All right, y'all. So it is Saturday. Where we at? We just at the 2-hour mark. It is Saturday, September the 24th, 2022, day 221 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And on the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,239. Those are the days that we have been present here since November 2018, with the exception of the Sabbath and the week sabbatical I had to take to restore my body. So today we read page 646 to page 656, and it was really, really good. So I'm gonna share. I'm still looking for that linguistic video with the babies that was 4 and 5 years old, that they taught them how to do fractions and higher levels of math. I'm still looking for that. That is hard, and it's a black and white video, right? So I'm gonna get that. And there was something else I said. Something else I said today. What else I said I was gonna share with y'all? I'm gonna have to go back and watch the video and see what I said. But whatever it was, I'm gonna post it here when I go and look at it. Oh, it's right there on the tip of my tongue. Oh, well, this is a couple things. I'll leave the link. Y'all, everybody know who they are. Dane Calloway and Curry Mayo. The links to their channels. And I'm gonna see if I can find that one video that Curry Mayo did with the government, right? Maybe it's in a title somewhere, but it was about it was probably a little bit over 2 hours, but it was a really, really good detailed video. And I especially like these two gentlemen because they have references galore and they share them with you, right? So those videos, I think that was it. The government video, their channels, but I think it was something else. I'm gonna have to. Like I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. All right, y'all. But with that being said, thank y'all for hanging out. There was something I saw in here that I like. Father, you are the author of all things. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. Bella, come on. Oh, you was right there around the corner. I thought you was upstairs. There is one called Straight Up, too. Is that a channel set apart? A channel called Straight Up? I'm going to look. Straight Up. That's a channel. I'm waiting to see your response. Just make sure I got it right. I don't know. Check the. Yes. Okay. It's a channel. Okay. YouTube channel. All right. So if I find that, I'm going to share that too. Or when I post something, share it if I ain't already found it set apart. All right. Love y'all too. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow. Yes. Explain a whole lot, Gloria, right? I love y'all. I will not see y'all here tomorrow. We are chilling out. Because we're observing the Sabbath for this moon cycle tomorrow. I know some of us, we have like different days, but hey, work it out, and do it, operate in it at your highest, like what you understand, right? And so based on what I understand and my calculations and stuff, the moon cycle, from what I've calculated, is falling tomorrow, right? But double check behind me. Share with me what you have, and we can rap about it. I might be missing something, right? I don't get everything right. And y'all know, I'd be like, oh, Y'all remember when I had said, yeah, I was wrong. Strike that from the record. I was wrong. This is what I have learned to be the truth since then. I ain't afraid to say that. I am not too ashamed by it. I learned pride is a terrible thing. When I'm wrong, doggone it, I'm wrong. And if I said something wrong in front of y'all, I'm going to come back in front of y'all and I'm going to apologize. I'm going to fix it. Let's do this together, right? We all learning. All right. I love y'all. I see y'all back here Monday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. All right, so we take us out. Hold on, Joanne. Okay. They might have ate it off. They might. I haven't checked for it.